Welcome to a brand new challenge. We're in Westbury-Lee in Wiltshire, and it's 8:30 in the morning, and we're going to the pub. Well, actually, it's not a pub anymore, it's an ex-pub, and it's now being turned into a beautiful home by Rosemary and Fraser McDonald. Now, they've made lots of changes to it already, done lots of work, but there's a couple of jobs just too difficult for them, and that's where me and Big Al come in.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, my back's stiff after that. Hi.
I'm Fraser.
Pleased to meet you, Fraser. And you know Big Al, don't you?
Yeah, nice to meet you again, Fraser.
Nice to see you again.
And you.
Well, welcome to our house. This is the old Phipps Arms. We now call it Phipps Manor. Would you like to come in and have a cup of tea?
Well, I have a certain affinity with pubs, you know.
And there's Rosemary.
Ah, look at this.
What a welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you, Rosemary.
And you too.
Nice to meet you again.
And you too.
Oh, this is nice, isn't it? Nice gallery staircase.
Fabulous.
In American white oak.
It is indeed. You're getting good at this. It's a timber species job, aren't you?
Yeah. So what we got to do, just walk upstairs and polish the staircase, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
Oh, that'd be nice. And what time did you say is beer time?
6 o'clock. Beer o'clock.
Oh, a long way to go yet.
Past 8, yeah. We'll have to take a long while polishing this staircase. Now, where's the real work? Come and show us.
Back this way. Let me show you.
Well, that's a bit of a beam, isn't it?
This as well. Monster, isn't it?
Why so big? What was he holding up?
Well, there was a floor above.
Yeah, floor.
And there was a stud wall. And I think beam's probably too big.
Well, yeah, I'd say it was a slight case of overkill there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And we've got to take this out, is that right, Al?
Yeah, yeah.
You'll have a very high ceiling in this room, then, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Well, then we'll be putting another floor in.
Oh, you're putting another floor in, right. Now, what else? I know that we've got to do some brickwork as well, haven't we? Because
Yes.
you've already had a recce on this.
I've had a quick look at this, yeah, and there's some arched brickwork over the top there, and there used to be an old opening here, and we're going to take that opening back out below the soldier arch, and then put French doors in and frame.
So, just thinking of my shoulder, whether I'll be able to lift that beam out of there.
Well, as it happens, I've organised a lift.
What sort of lift?
The lift, it goes up, and it up in
They normally
stages,
do,
and
don't
you
they?
wind it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
quite
you're
clever,
the wind
isn't
up
it?
way,
Yeah, I
aren't
did my best.
So what's this room going to be used for?
It'll be a dining room.
Yeah.
This will be a dining room.
Yeah.
Because the kitchen's next door, so it makes sense to turn it into the dining room.
So we can prepare tea and sandwiches and cakes and things.
By the
Yes.
bucketful.
Yeah.
By the bucketful?
Yeah.
Oh,
Follow me.
all right. Bucketful. We've got just 4 days to complete this challenge. Starting with the removal of this great big chunk of steel.
I reckon, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but
Go on.
find the centre of the beam,
Yes.
find the width of the forks that are going to hold the weight of this central portion of beam,
The cradle.
the cradle.
Yeah.
Mark the cradle marks and centre of the beam so that we know exactly where to bring the cradle up in position.
And then when we actually put the cradle underneath and lower it, there'll be no imbalance
Yeah,
at all.
good idea.
But before we cut the 2 ends, we'll need to support them
Yes.
so that they don't deflect down with the
Yeah,
cut.
put some props underneath those.
And then we lower it on the cradle onto the floor.
Yeah,
Right, and then push it over here because it's
Yeah.
going to be big and heavy.
and we'll work off the scaffolds on both sides.
Take the 2 ends out,
Yeah.
then punch a hole through the wall there, and that's where the steels can go out rather than through the house.
Yeah.
Fraser went out with his mother to buy a leg of lamb and came back with a pub. Because basically he'd walked past the estate agent's window and saw that this particular building was still for sale after 6 months. And we decided to go and have a look at it, and a leg of lamb turned into a pub. It was a stinking beery mess, and nicotine all over the ceilings and wood chip wallpaper, no original features, deep pink paint.
It was fairly obvious that the electrics were a little bit haphazard and they'd been added to and modified over the years. Put that right, get rid of all the superfluous wiring that was associated with the bar and the beer cellar and all that sort of thing, trying to cut down the sort of hazards.
We got to the stage with the house where we were making quite good progress, and the next big area we needed to do was the dining room. But every time we walked past the dining room, we sort of looked at that huge beam and went, no, we'll do that later.
Taking that beam down, opening up the arch, it was probably going to be a bit too much for me to do. I might have got away with it, but My experience was that that was a stupid risk, and I needed to get the professionals in to do that.
And I'm glad they're doing it and we're not.
Now, the first thing we've got to do is actually support the ends of the steel so that when we cut through it, they remain in place and they don't drop down. So we're going to use acros, but if you're going to ever use any support, sort of acros or support, structural supports yourself, you must make sure that you spread the load so that the weight that's transferred from up above comes down through the acro, and rather than just having it in a local spot on the floor, you put a timber down and it spreads that load over a larger area, therefore lessening the chance that you might damage the floor. Right, take the acro, push it up under the beam, put the pin in. Now all we want to do is just pinch it up. We just want to actually make sure we're level. That's it, I've got a good eye. That's it. That's it. Just pinch it up nice and solid. We don't want to overcook this.
I'm going up, am I?
Yes, you are, yeah. Al, could you put a C on that centre line?
Yeah. And what's the centre of these casters?
27, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We're putting these two scaffold boards down again to spread the weight because this machine itself is rather heavy. Well, it's nicely geared, isn't it?
It is, yeah. That's it. Spot on. Yeah, what this is, it's a power hacksaw. And this has got its own clamp, so that when you clamp that into position...
Oh, so I can see it just tightens up against these two stops.
That holds the whole machine in position, and then this blade just works as a hacksaw. It was designed, this was, for cutting through large tubes. Flick it on, and you've got a variable speed.
Oh, I like things like this.
Buy paper today?
I was going to say join us after the break, but aye, things are speeding up. We're very close now. The surgeon has almost completed the full cut. So what we're going to do in order to remain safe, put a batten across, a timber batten across the top there, and we clamp this down. That's it. Now that should hold these two steady when the blade goes through, rather than it might have a little bit of deflection and trap the blade and cause it to kick.
That's it.
Lift it, but that's... Right, now all we've got to do is do the other side.
Yeah.
While Al's cutting the other end of the steel, me and Fraser are going to remove the stumpy bit down this end.
When the guy loaned this to me, he said, if you get fed up of hanging on the handle, he said, just put a bag of nails over the end. Well, I haven't got a bag of nails, but Tommy's tool bag should do the trick. That's that. I'm off to make a cup of tea. Sounds very close now.
Close enough to hear it. There we are.
There we go. That's it.
The other way.
Yeah.
Right.
That is the beam held purely by the lift now.
You ready?
Yeah, no speed starts, all right.
Yeah. Nice and slowly. Oh, look at that. Am I good or what? Huh?
Look at this.
I like this, Al.
Yeah.
See the action there, Al?
What are you bending your knees for?
Well, I'm working out. It's like being at the gym on one of them machines, but only...
Don't give me any of that. You've never even seen a gym.
I have. My dad was a gym. Yeah. Just the two smaller pieces to remove now. Got it.
We should have one of these in the van, you know, all the time.
Go on.
I was really concerned when they took the RSJ out. I was watching it with my hands over my eyes, thinking if a piece of beam fell off the lift and landed on the floor, it would just be awful, because you've got this limestone flagged floor and underfloor heating underneath it.
But we're going to have a bit of a problem here because there's some deflection. Because of the weight that was centred on this pier, it's tended to bring this brickwork down, some cracking up there.
Yeah.
So whether we can save that arch or not, that's going to take
I hope we can.
a bit of investigation, yeah. Well, that's the end of day one. We've got the big girder down, the big beastie, but like all good fighters, it's down but not out. I mean, as in outside the building. So join us for day two and see how we get this out and how we get on with the job.
Ready for a brew?
Oh, lovely, thanks very much. Welcome back. Now, so far in the challenge, we've managed to take down this great big beastie of an RSJ from its elevated position.
Having said that, though, it did have to come down in 3 pieces, didn't it?
I know, it's a hard job cutting it.
It was.
Now, the beastie may be down, but it's not out. So what we've got to do is cut open some of this brickwork in order to get the RSJs out of there. But that's not the only reason that we're cutting this brickwork down, is it?
No, we've got a door frame and a pair of doors to go in there as well, but we can't do anything about that yet because they've not arrived.
That's true. And also, this brickwork does look a bit iffy because I want to try and retain that gauged arch above there. The whole idea, actually, is to create a nice bit of natural light into this new room, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Oh, and also, we've got that brickwork to take out and that old lintel so that we can put the new box lintels in.
Oh, have another look at that.
Yeah, come on.
All right, let's sort that out first while we're waiting for the doors.
This house was built using lime mortar. Lime mortar is very, very porous, allows the building to breathe, and it's also very elastic. So if there's movement within the house, the lime mortar will allow a forgiving, let's say, movement within the structure. Now, I'm going to be taking this mortar off, A, because we're going to reuse the bricks, and if you put this brick outside and let the lime mortar, the old lime mortar, go wet again, it makes it all sticky and gooey and very difficult to remove.
Right, in order to get this opening correct, I've actually used the long spirit level and I've made a mark all the way down from the edge of this arch, because that's going to be what governs the size of the opening. I can't make it bigger than the arch. And the RSJ went through this arch at one time and they've re-bricked it up, but I don't know how safe it would be if we took this wall panel down. I'm going to use this diamond-bladed cutter to cut right the way through there on both sides. But my one worry is the fact that if we were to take this brickwork out, this might collapse. So what we're going to do probably is cut a section here and cut a section on that side, repair all the corners, make sure that's good so we can hammer and chisel it without fear of this arch dropping. Right, well, I think we should start. Now, your job is to actually spray water, that's it, onto the cut to keep the dust down a bit. Righto. Talking of which, you need a mask. Have you got a mask?
Remember me telling you a little while ago about don't go just bludgeoning into it and knocking all the bricks out? Well, this is a very good example of why. These header bricks here connect that skin to the middle skin, but then if you come along, this header brick just here connects this skin to this skin. All clever stuff. Now, if I'd just gone smashing through all of that, all of this, let's say, strength for keeping these 3 skins of brickwork would have gone. And also, I've managed to piggle out all of the lime mortar from under there, so this beam will slide out.
Now, I don't know why this always happens to me, but I'm stuck out while it's pouring down with rain. Now, we've put a diamond blade cut right the way down the vertical line, but unfortunately, the diamond cutting blade wouldn't reach right the way through the brickwork. It's about 18 mil, 3/4 of an inch short. So I'm going to have to now cut the rest of it out by hand using a bit of old elbow grease and, of course, the old hammer and bolster chisel. Sorry, Al.
I was going to catch that.
What I'm trying to achieve is to, waste some bricks so that I can get back to try and cut out some whole bricks so that I can reuse them. These are all headers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Are you dry in there?
I'm lovely and dry, yeah. Yeah.
This bit of kit, this has got 2 blades with tungsten tips in that oscillate. You put it into the mortar joint and it just chews it out so quickly. Look, it's just lovely, it's just coming away. And you can actually reuse that. Now what I've done, I've toothed it back and cleaned up all the joints, ready to start re-bricking this up, this corner. But the problem is, I may have to make some more adjustments, so it's a bit of suck and see, if you like. And what we're using for authenticity is lime putty mortar. I took it out of the bucket, added some water to it to make it a bit softer. It's quite a coarse material. It's got all sorts of grit in it, and if you have a look, you'll probably see in the mortar here how it's exactly the same as the original mortar bed. See, that's the trouble using these old bricks. Sometimes they can be hard and stable, sometimes they can be hard and brittle. Well, that's obviously a hard and brittle one. First one of the day, broken.
So far, the project's going very well indeed. We've had a few problems with loose masonry, but that's to be expected, and sagging lintels. But when we replace the lintel and put the new, with the 2 new box lintels, that will sort that out, and that will stiffen the wall up quite a bit as well. I've really enjoyed Tommy and Al being here with the crew. It's been nice to be able to sit back and watch someone else do so much of the work.
It's a load of work, this is, I'm telling you.
The project has been a long project. We've been at it for over 2 years now. But just seeing the light coming into what will be the dining room is just amazing. Hey guys, do you want some tea? And a brownie?
Is the Pope a Catholic? That's the question.
I'm absolutely staggered by the amount of tea and coffee that's consumed by this
Before
crew.
he comes over, that one's slightly bigger, isn't it?
Yes.
It's important to keep your energy levels up when you're building. So yes, Rosemary enjoys baking.
Now, if it had been me going first, what do you think I'd have done?
You'd have had both of them.
Yeah, I would.
It's fun to watch it and also fun times to be part of it.
I think we've burnt this, didn't you?
I do indeed. Very, very nice. Is there any more?
Hopefully we will get finished and then we can have a good old tidy up and get back to normal.
Now, do you want the good news or the bad news? Well, the good news is that it hasn't stopped raining, and that's the good news. Now, the bad news is that the walls are about 2 inches out of plumb that way. None of the bonds match, and we have a slight problem with the doors in that it must be the rain that they've shrunk somewhat. So what we're going to do, we've put this profile in here. This is the corner of the brickwork. I've cut all this back, toothed it back, and we're going to piece this all back in so that we get a proper return with a rebate. So that means that this outer skin of wall will project 4.5 inches more than the inner wall, so we can get the frame behind it. It's time to take this great big wooden beam out now, and we've press-ganged an extra pair of hands to help. This is Fraser and Rosemary's son, and he's told us he's done it all before. Exactly what he meant by that, I didn't ask, but I presume he meant taking these big beams out. Am I right?
Yes.
Good. Shall I bring my end out first?
Yeah, just wriggle it back. Down onto the scaffold.
Roll it over, actually. And look, there's a bit of dry rot in this end, look. Now, you know what? This would actually make a great big beam across a fireplace, and with the dry rot and all this woodworm in it, you'd probably get twice the price for it. Now, these shouldn't bend like that timber one.
No, shouldn't do.
Right, shall we lift it into place?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, bob on.
Well, that's the end of day 2 of the challenge, and it has been slightly problematic.
Yeah, and talking of problems, this man seems to find jobs with problems.
No, they find me. I mean,
right.
you know, but we are problem solvers, not problem givers.
Yes, that's true.
And we've sold a few today. I mean, first of all, we had to cut out the brickwork either side of this central column, which is holding up the arch in place.
That's right. Then we've unpicked all of this brickwork along here and taken the old beam out and put these new lintels in.
Yeah, well, the old beam are deflected badly. These two won't, will they?
That's right, yeah.
And then I've got the two there, all the brickwork on either side, ready to rebuild the piers on either side, which is going to hold the frame.
That's right, yeah.
Well, we've done one half, and we've still got one half to do, and then...
We've? No, you have.
All right, well, I have.
Yeah.
And then after we've completed that, we can take this central section out.
Yeah, that's right.
And hopefully the house don't fall down. So why don't you join us again soon on day 3 of the challenge and see how we get on. I think it looks like rain again, Mr. Hurd.
I think you're right, and I wonder why.
Yes, put the shorts on, guaranteed rain. Welcome to day 3 of the challenge, and we're in Westbury-Lee in Wiltshire.
We're at Fraser and Rosemary McDonald's.
Yes. Now, this house used to be a pub, so it's now an ex-pub, and it was called the Phipps Arms. Now, they've made a lot of alterations to this house, and they've really worked hard on it, but there are 1 or 2 jobs that are a little bit too large for them, and that's where me and Big Al come in, isn't it, Al?
Yes, indeed. One of the jobs, though, and it was a large job, taking out that RSJ.
You better mention it was a redundant RSJ, so it wasn't doing anything. That's why we took it out.
But it was a bit of a monster, to say the least, and we had to cut it into 3 sections, lower it to the floor.
And then we had to get it out, so we bashed a great big hole in that wall to get it out, didn't we?
No, we didn't bash a hole in the wall. We started.
What's that then?
We started unpicking the brickwork and then started chasing it because all the bricks were loose.
Yeah, we couldn't catch it because it's called greyhound brickwork. It was very fast. That's why we were chasing it. And we had to repair all the brickwork, rebuild the piers, and we're going to put in a door frame and a pair of French doors, which will make it a beautiful, light and airy dining room. And that's our task. So we began with the challenge, eh?
I suppose we had.
Right, come on, before it rains.
Yeah.
Most people worry about doing a bit of bricklaying, you know, trying to get it plumb and level and make sure it's right and the bond's correct. Now, let me try and explain this. If you're building a wall or repairing some brickwork, you're worried about every time you've got to put the level up to make sure that it's right. Well, a simple solution is to put a profile up, put a piece of timber in position and level that. Make sure that's level all the way round, and then bring your brickwork to that and it can't be wrong. And if you're even worried about getting the joint levels right, all you have to do is to take one of the existing horizontal lines and then mark it on your profile, then work out what joint you've got, so then you go across again to the underneath of the brick, and that gives you your joint size. Then go to the top of that brick, and that's the brick, and then mark off the joint and so forth right the way up. It's a bit like painting by numbers, really, so this could be brickwork by lines, if you like. You could create a Leonardo da Vinci bricklayer out yourself. So that's there.
We've left the lintels overnight to set on the mortar, and now I'm bringing the brickwork through and up to about this level to take it back to how it was originally. Now, because there's 2 lintels here, there's a gap in between. And one of the ways to stop the mortar dropping down through the gap is to roll up some newspaper and then just push it down there, like so. In about 100 years, when this is probably renovated again, a builder might pull that out and say, oh, look at the price of petrol then. I wonder who put this in here. This is a bit of a first for me, bringing this brickwork up here. Tommy's let me loose with a trowel and lime mortar. He's got plenty on down there, and there's not a huge amount of woodwork to do on this job, so I've got to get this right. No pressure.
When you're doing some restoration work on brickwork, particularly if you're using lime mortar, make sure that you give the brickwork a good soaking before you actually put your mortar in and your bricks back in. Now, I just want to show you something. Now, this tool has been very cleverly designed because it's enabled me to cut these spalled bricks because it goes right in the right depth, and I've gone right along top and bottom, loosen the mortar, and then these were very easily to pop out. But what I wanted to demonstrate to you was, see, that's a very badly spalled brick, and then what happens there is if it's left unpointed, so that's bad maintenance, in the winter water gets in behind the brick and it saturates the brick, and then it freezes, and of course the force of freezing water, it blows the face clean off the brick. They call it frost problems, that's what they call it. But normally you'd have to get a hammer and chisel and chop all that out, damaging a lot of other bricks around it. But with that tool, you can just cut it out without doing any damage. But what really is the bonus, you can take the brick out whole, right? And then rather than go down looking for the brick, you turn it round and the other side's as clean as a whistle. You put your mortar bed in and place the brick back in there. It's a perfectly matching brick. It's as simple as that. Now, this young man is the ex-landlord of this property when it was once the Phipps Arms, and very appropriately named Adrian Bass, as in the brewer. How'd you do, Adrian?
Hello, Tommy.
Now, has this changed very much? A silly question, but from when you were the publican here?
Dramatically. Absolutely dramatically.
So where are we standing
We're
now?
standing actually in the bar. The bar was U-shaped where we're standing now.
Now, what we've established is that was the public bar and this was the lounge bar.
Yes.
Well, come and have a look, because funnily enough, it's a lounge. Come and see what you think of it now.
Oh.
Huh?
Wouldn't recognise it. Totally different. Totally different. The fireplace is exactly the same profiles as it used to be before, but...
This wasn't... This actually...
No, the frontage wasn't here, but the brickwork was all there. I don't know whether Fraser's covered it in there, but it was a massive chimney. Enormous chimney. In the far corner there was the entrance to the ladies' toilet, which has now been knocked down, but that used to be through that corner there. And then there used to be a door through there into sort of the middle passage where the gents' toilet was. The cellar was in this corner here, and then you went through to the kitchen.
But it looks lovely now. I mean, they've made a lovely job of the panelling, haven't they?
Superb. Yes, superb.
And the colours are fantastic.
I like it very much so.
Adrian, this is where we're working. And I'll show you.
Right. Fine, yes, that was... right, I see what Rosemary meant. Yeah, that was the bedroom up there, and that was where the hand basin used to be. The back bedroom had a hand basin in it. You can see it on the wall.
There's a form on the wall.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I want to ask you, there's this great big RSJ that ran right through the centre of the room.
Right.
Sitting on that pier.
Yeah.
Now, was that in place when you were here?
Yes.
Now, what was the function of it?
Pass.
So you don't know what the purpose of that great big RSJ was?
No, I don't.
Because what they did, whoever installed it, they set it on the spine wall here in the middle, and they also built a pier here to pick it up. And there was a wooden beam across there, so them two steel ones. They chopped a bit of that out and set it up there. And with the weight of the pit, they all started to deflect. And it pulled this down. That's why we're rebuilding all that and rebuilding outside.
Yes, because just outside that door is where, when they were doing the car park, they found this well. Very deep well, and the story goes that there was a herd, whether it got exaggerated, whether it was one or not, of pigs that actually went down there and never came out.
So that's how you get rid of herds? Well, isn't that a revelation? So if you've got a herd and you want to get rid of it, just send them down the well?
If you want, yes.
That's a very interesting thought. I think I might be able to put that to good use.
So what do you reckon then? How are we going to take that last bit out?
Well, I reckon it looks quite contemporary, and maybe we should leave it in there as a bit of modern art.
Well, we could do. We could do.
I don't think Fraser would be very impressed.
No,
though.
I don't either.
Now, I think whatever we do, we're going to have to take it down very, very gingerly, because we don't want to give it any violent whacking. Now, you be careful with the hammer.
No, it wasn't me.
Yeah, what I'll do the cutting.
Yeah.
And the separating.
Yeah.
And I'll pass it down to you.
Yeah, yeah, quite a way away.
great gig, yeah, I'll tell you. I cut this brickwork down away from the arch because I didn't want to put any pressure on that. And this was really solid, but once you release, you know, the strength from it, watch. You can actually push this over with one hand, see? But we won't do that, we'll take it down nice and slowly. That's it, Al, that'll do.
Okay.
That's it all down, lovely. There's a tip about lifting anything heavy. First, get someone else to do it. But if you can't, just lift it in small stages. That's all you've got to do, bit at a time, and don't rush it. Ready?
Yeah.
Hang on. In actual fact, this looks heavier than it is. I'm going to go this way. Ready?
Yeah.
Bend your knees when lifting. And out we go. Down.
Yeah.
Right, now, you bring it to the end of that timber.
I can't.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Now we'll do another lift. I'll go out there with it and you bring it to the edge. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. He was a bit ahead of me there.
About there. Oh, let's lift this down, mate.
1, 2, 3. Ready?
Yeah, as I'll ever be.
Right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. Right.
Right.
Seriously now. 1, 2, 3, lift. Up. Ah. Dee, dee, dee. We're back.
Oh, that was heavy.
We've just stumbled across a potential problem here. Al, can you have a remeasure of that again?
What, frame?
Yeah. The frame fits OK either side. It's got about a ½ inch to play with, and we can pack that off. But because this brickwork's got a bit of a roll in it, I think we may have a problem in the middle. What?
Yeah, we have got a problem in the middle.
We won't fit it in, no?
No. No.
Well, I think what we'll have to do, we can't alter the head anymore. I think if we take this course of brickwork out here,
Yeah.
and because it's bulged up in the middle, I'd say the bed was a bit too high. Chop the old bed out
Yeah.
and put a new mortar bed in, a tight one, and tack
Lower
them
it
down.
down, yeah.
Get it flat so it's not rocking like that. And then put the DPC on top of it, on a very tight bed, then we could pop it in.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, I'll chop these out.
I'll go and get a mix going.
Yeah. Now you can see here what I mean about a thick bed. We just chop that away. It's gone down half the blade of the chisel, see? I know what you're going to say. How did he know that? Well, sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're not. And today happens to be my lucky day. While Al's been reading the paper, I've relayed the bricks with a thinner bed. Now I've just got to put some mortar down with a damp-proof membrane on top, what we call a DPC. This is vital that you put in a DPC underneath any new framework that you put in, just to stop any rising damp rotting the frame and ruining all your hard work. That's it. Wants a very tight bed underneath it of the lime mortar, and then just take a trowel
Before I fit this frame into the opening that we've created, I'm actually going to take the doors off to make the whole frame a lot lighter and save these getting damaged. If you notice up here, we've masked off the brass hinges so that you don't get it all covered in paint. Nice little tip, that is.
Now, everything's finally prepared for the big moment. The frame's going to go into position. The damp course is down, the brickwork's all built, it's all gone off nice and solid. Now we're ready to move this in. You ready, Al?
Almost. Yeah. OK.
On 3.
Yeah. I'm off already.
Cool, it's a fair weight, this, isn't it?
It is as well. Right, just drop her down a sec. Right.
I just want to get this piece of DPC up.
That's it.
We're now going to secure the frame, and how we do that is we fix these frame ties to the side of the frame and then we brick in this void area, and that should hold it nice and solid. How are you going on over there, Mr. Herb?
Well, I'm doing the easy bit first. I'm leaving the difficult bit for you to do.
While Al's filling in around the frame, I've got a trick to show you for cleaning up brickwork. Now, it's very difficult to get paint off brickwork, but I have a solution, and I'm going to show Fraser how to do it. It's this. This is specially made for taking or cleaning up brickwork, and you have to use it very flat on the surface with this sort of grinder, this shape. Of course, another thing to remember, you must always wear glasses, safety glasses, and a mask when you're doing this because of the dust. I haven't got a mask on because I'm not doing it. Fraser is. There you are, Fraser.
Thank you very much, Tommy.
Bang on time. Here's the glazier to put the glass in. It's always good to get a professional in when you're dealing with glass. Nearly at the end of the challenge.
Yeah, that's for this side.
Right. There you go. Right, let me out now.
That's good timing.
Just that last bit.
Oh, yes.
Look at that. Let me just test it out.
Lovely.
Wonderful. All we have to do now is glaze the doors. Come on in, Julio. It's great to see a professional at work. Well, we have at last completed the challenge, haven't we, Mr. Hurd?
We certainly have.
From a dark, dingy, beer-smelling tap room into this lovely, large, airy, open space.
And doesn't it look good for it? All this bright light coming in.
Do you remember what it was like before? Well, Rosemary and Fraser, the challenge has been completed. What do you think?
Fantastic.
No, it's so good. Thank you so much.
Is it what you expected?
It's exceeded my expectations, actually.
Oh, 9 out of 10 for you.
The window's so much bigger than I thought it was going to be, and it lets in just so much light. Fantastic.
Well, my next job, I suppose, is going to be to build a patio.
Yes, well, don't call me. Except if you're going to invite me and Elle over for dinner. So I think on that note, we should say goodbye.
Yes, I think we should.
So from myself and Big Al, till next time on Challenge Tommy Walsh, see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Since Tommy and Alan left, we've worked quite hard to get the floor reinstated, and so that's now in, and we're ready to start with recreating the bedroom that's upstairs.
It's not finished, so obviously we haven't had a dinner party or anything in there, but on the Sunday after Tommy and Al left, we had a barbecue for a group of friends, and we used the dining room as the way in and out of the house, and all the food was set out in there, and so we could show off the work that was being done.
We've been very impressed with the finish. I mean, it's saved me so much time.
And we really feel like we've turned a corner now, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I mean, that was the last of the construction work that had to be done. I think we're now on the home straight. Psychologically, it was a real boost. My advice to anyone who's thinking of getting Tommy and Alan coming to work on their houses: get a big teapot, learn how to bake, and I think that will probably do, wouldn't it?
That'll probably do. I think that'll keep them all happy.